Hello everyone, so for today's video I've got a weight loss diary for you. I wanted to apologise for the fact that there was no vlog this week. Things are just really hectic at the moment and I really didn't have that much of a chance to vlog, so I feel like I'd rather just not put one up because it would really be so boring and I feel like I'm not even really showing you much, so it's kind of defeating the object of it a little bit. I just need to get myself knowing what's kind of going on through the week and then I can plan it all out a bit better. The other thing is I've got no pictures this week because on Saturday I had to get up at like 5:30 in the morning, get ready and go and catch a train to London, which I was in a massive rush for, so I didn't really get time to like take pictures and things like that. So my start weight on the 3rd of September I was 13 stone 4 pounds and 4 ounces, and then my weight on the 4th of March I was 11 stone and 8 pounds, and then my latest weigh-in day on the 11th of March I was 11 stone and 7 pounds. So I did manage to lose a pound, which I was pretty happy with. I know that I've said that I'm trying to like switch things up a bit, and the fact that I'm even losing any weight at all I'm really happy with, considering how it was going kind of before that. I'm still kind of playing around with everything. I think it's important to get like a good mix of things, making sure that everything's balanced. And a lot of it is trial and error, to be honest. I've been obviously mostly eating soup and wraps anyway, but I just think it's just finding the right balance and everything else. So yeah, I still feel like I'm kind of having to play around with everything a little bit and just see what works best for me. You know, it can be really hard when you're trying to like cut certain foods out and make sure that you are eating what you should be eating when you should be eating and all that kind of stuff. In terms of what we've been doing at the gym, we're still kind of just doing what we feel. So we tend to do like lower body one day and then the next day it'll be more focused on upper body, and we kind of switch between the two just to make sure that we're giving, you know, the muscles that we worked the day before a good rest. But generally we always start off with between like 8 and 10 minutes on the treadmill, and then we do some weights and then we go back on the treadmill. Depends on how long we've got left. That's normally between 5 and 10 minutes. But I feel like now that, you know, it's getting a lot warmer and hopefully we can do something a bit better. This week we're not actually able to go to the gym just because my mum's working so much. I've been working a fair amount as well. That's been a little bit more difficult, but I am trying to do some stuff at home just to see how I get on with that as well, because I have spoke about exercising twice a week, which is something that I still do want to start, but again I'm having to think about it in terms of, you know, making sure that I'm giving myself a long enough gap between everything like that. My dad had some protein shake which he wasn't going to be using, so I'm going to start having that as well, just because I want to see if it makes a difference. I know that a lot of people do kind of swear by it, but to be honest, one thing that you have to be really careful about is it is obviously like a meal replacement. It's just to give your body a lot of protein. You need to feed your muscles with protein in order to help them grow. And I definitely am not really one that eats a lot of meat, so I find it quite difficult to get protein. So I think that having something like a protein shake might be a little bit better for me. And I think it's worth just seeing sort of how it goes and what it does for my body. I still feel like I need to keep thinking about exactly what I want to do. And, you know, I am happy though that I am still losing weight. So at least I know I'm sort of going in the right direction. Obviously I wish it would come off that bit quicker, but I'd rather lose something than absolutely nothing at all. This week, as I said, is not necessarily a normal week, but I feel like maybe I can use that as a chance to experiment with doing stuff at home, and especially as I said, now it is getting quite nice outside. You know, I can go out in the garden and do some exercising out there. Obviously your diet is the thing that affects you most, so that's something that I am trying to be careful of. I was having some bread sometimes when I was having soup last week, so maybe that's something that was affecting me. I wasn't having a lot of bread, but obviously, you know, you might find that certain foods make you feel bloated, and maybe bread is something that I should be more careful of having. I think maybe in terms of having the protein shake instead of the soup, but then still having the wrap might be something that works out a little bit better for me, because I won't be having bread with my protein shake, but then I will at least get some carbs from the wrap that I have. Even though I might not be as happy with my progress as I was when I first started this, I still, you know, I feel like a year ago, 2 years ago, if I would have been in this position, I probably would have already put on half a stone by now. So I think I need to think ahead of what I still need to lose rather than thinking about what I have already lost. But I do feel so much better, and I'm even noticing now that, you know, I don't feel as hot and sweaty, and I don't feel as out of breath, and I just feel generally a lot healthier. I am glad that I stopped doing the kind of hardcore keto. I think that, as I mentioned, you know, you don't know if something's going to work out long term unless you do it long term. And at first it was brilliant, it worked, but eventually it just didn't seem to kind of go well with my body. And, you know, that's just sometimes is the case. And I think I would always recommend people to at least try stuff. You know, if you wanted to try being vegan for a month, then it's worth giving it a go and seeing how it does for you. I mean, personally for me, I've never really been a huge meat eater anyway, and I've explained that before. I'm just not the biggest fan. It's not that I won't eat it, but I'm very lazy when it comes to making it and preparing it. And generally, the kind of meals I have anyway, and the meals that I actually really like, they just don't really involve a lot of meat, and sometimes it can make me feel a little bit sick. And then when it comes to dairy, I have had a lot of sort of negative stuff about dairy, and so I think that, you know, even though like obviously the protein shake does have some dairy in it, I am trying to kind of cut back. So rather than having it with milk, I'll have it with almond milk, so it's just not a full dairy drink, you know, it only has a bit of dairy in it. I don't really eat that much in like eggs anyway, and then I might have some like butter on my like vegetables or something like that. I'm trying to kind of cut back on it where I can. Obviously sugar is probably the biggest thing that is hard for me, just because obviously it's a very addictive thing, and you know, I think it's really important that you kind of wean yourself off it, because I think that if you just don't say to yourself, I'm not going to have any sugar whatsoever, then it's going to be a lot harder, and you're more likely to binge. Whereas at least if you allow yourself, you know, one sort of small bit of chocolate or a biscuit or just anything that has even the smallest amount of sugar in, you're more likely to just limit yourself as opposed to not having it at all. It's a lot easier to have stuff in moderation than it is just to not have anything at all. So I'm just going to see how things go for the next couple of weeks. I feel like the thing that I struggle with the most is that my day-to-day routine is just not consistent, and I do really struggle with planning my weeks out. And I know that I have my planner and I try and use that as much as I can, but that's more of something I fill in like the day of, like in the morning I'll fill out everything that I need to do. But when it comes to knowing what I'm going to be doing through the week, for me personally, it's just a little bit all over the place. And I think if you're someone who had consistent hours job-wise, or you always knew what you were doing sort of every single day, it would be a lot easier to do. So, yeah, I think it's really important not to be so hard on yourself, and you know, you have to try and fit it in with your day-to-day life. I think it's so difficult to change everything just to get it to work, because then you are more likely to fail. Whereas if you're realistic as to what you can do and what you can achieve, you're far more likely to do it, and you're far more likely to stick to it. So at the moment I am happy with how things are going. I just feel all round better, but I am really hoping that I can kind of up my game a little bit and see sort of more come off. Even if it was like £1.50, £2 a week, then I'd be pretty happy with that. So I've got 19 weeks to lose 24 pounds. So I need to lose about £1 a week anyway, just over. If I can get like the odd week where I can lose £2 or even slightly more, then it's going to make things easier for me. Obviously, like I said, I might lose another stone and a half and think, actually no, I'm happy with where I am now. But I like the fact that I have something to work towards. My wedding dress should arrive in August, and then I will go for a fitting where they can resize it. And I know that at the moment anyway, even if I was to be how I look now, it will need taking in. Then once it gets resized to what I am, I will have to maintain that from then until the wedding, which is a bit of a scary thing, but obviously, you know, I will be able to keep an eye on it, and I think maintaining it will be a lot easier than sort of trying to lose it anyway. So that's just everything that's been going on at the moment. I know this video has probably been quite brief. I'm just going to see how things go, and yeah. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!